Well, what a wonderful chance it is for me to stand before you on behalf of my brothers, Laurie and Justin, to put Marist Learning Zone and our new community in Mount Druitt before you. There are quite a number of people I've not had the pleasure of meeting today. So can I just say thank you for being here today and also for being open to what is a very new Marist venture. We're just taking our first baby steps. Many of you must have been wondering what on earth Denise Long and her committee were inviting you to today. Really, it's new. But then I had confidence because I know that no one says no to Denise. True. I have a question for you today. How do you feel about the world today? Do you feel like we're living in some extraordinary moment of change? I don't just mean ordinary change, but really big change. Almost like our world is trying to give birth to something new. And I don't see this as a bad thing, but it's a big thing. And the thing is, we don't have much choice about it. I know that everywhere I look, I see people trying to reimagine systems. Even within the Catholic Church, can you believe that? And maybe that's what we like about Pope Francis. In one way you could say he's changing the goalposts. You could even say he's enlarging the playing field. And I can say playing field confidently because I am a New South Wales supporter, so I do have something to celebrate from last night's win. But my family live in Queensland, so I can go for the 2-1 as well. So how are we responding to this change of epoch almost, you'd say? Do the greatest migration rates in world history affect us, each one of us? Or does the fact that a 10 to 17-year-old Aboriginal Australian is 24 times more likely to be in juvenile detention than a non-Aboriginal person? Does that shake us? Does the radicalisation of young people in various faith traditions right across the globe alarm us? Does Australia's escalating suicide rate for people aged 15 to 19, especially boys, trouble us? Or does paralysis set in? Well, perhaps we have something that we can offer to the community of Mount Druitt. And to introduce that, just a little bit on video that was recorded a short time ago. Marist Learning Zone is a new opportunity that's going to be starting up in Western Sydney, in Mount Druitt, for kids who have disengaged with their educational story. It's trying to gather students who live around this local area. So this is a program that's open to all young people, even some young people who might have disengaged completely from school.
I suppose what our big hope is that the young people will want to be there, that they will want to enjoy the experience so that it's a good place to come to.
It's a fairly flexible learning environment. We're hoping that it might be one too that the students themselves can be engaged in sort of developing. So whilst we might have a physical space, what that looks like inside is really yet to be determined. And we're hoping that, you know, by engaging the students, engaging their creativity, that they can be a part of that development.
We're hoping that a day in Marist Learning Zone would be something that young people would be attracted to come to. So they'd be able to engage in a meaningful discussion with other people their age, with wonderfully engaging learning tasks that are really suited to them individually.
Hopefully tapping into some of their creative ideas, you know, so maybe through the use of art, maybe through the use of music, possibly through the use of, you know, other practical things, maybe like the development of a garden, maybe even through cooking. I guess you'd almost kind of hide the curriculum as such.
Well, it certainly won't be a traditional school. I think the key thing is to give the young people skills for life. Literacy and numeracy is essential, of course, but aimed at life. How will they be able to use these skills in real life situations?
So for some, that might be re-entry back into another form of education, possibly TAFE, possibly university, who knows for some. For others it might simply mean employment, but it means they could walk away from Marist Learning Zone with skills that enable them to survive, that skills that enable them to thrive really in life, skills that, that help them to live a wonderful future.
Our initial partnership with Catholic Education Diocese of Parramatta has been a wonderful beginning, and we're hoping that we might be able to extend that with all sorts of other partners, including the New South Wales Department of Education. We're really hoping that we might come to be seen in this local area as one of the key players in helping young people. So we're hoping that other businesses and perhaps some other community agencies might want to get on board with us too. So that's sort of something quite conceptual, but we feel that there's some real reality happening very soon. But I'm wondering, just on the Marist front, whether you've had a sense that there maybe are some new ways of being and doing Marist on the horizon. For example, quite a number of you here today, like me, are members of the Marist Association of St Marcel and Champagne. What is that? It's a new body of Marists, lay people and brothers, with a commitment to one another who share God's mission. It won't be long before the Vatican approves that organisation, and it won't be long before this movement spreads further throughout the Marist world outside of Australia. I think what we need to remember is where all this began. We have DNA that's 200 years old, well 200 years old next January anyway, which talks about radical change. You know the story, I'm sure. Father Marcel and Champagne, a French country priest, gathered together some of the most unlikely boys and young men to form a group of teaching brothers to go out on mission to the tiny hamlets and villages of the mountainous region south of Lyon in France. It worked. During Marcelin's lifetime, the very first missionaries, Marist priests and brothers, came to the Oceania region in the 1830s. They stayed. In 1872, 4 brothers from 3 different countries, the leader, not able to speak English very well, came to the rocks and began a Marist school. The mission flourished. Let's jump forward 125 years. 1997, 1998. Someone comes up with an idea of new outreach to people called the Burn Education Centre, now called the John Burns School. It's envisioned, it's gone through change, and it's here to stay. How about this? 10 years ago, a parish-owned Marist school in Victoria opened a specialised alternative program able to enrol up to 50 disadvantaged young people, all within its operating budget. It's full, and it's an Australian standout. So, to suggest something like Marist Learning Zone, obviously something new, just seems to fit us, doesn't it? If we Marists are serious about listening to what God's Spirit is saying to us, then the needs of young people who find themselves on the edges of life are the needs to which we need to respond. So there's a plan to respond. But wait for it, it's not going to roll out like a standard business plan. Yes, it will be strategic. Certainly it will be focused. But it's going to have a new style of community at its heart. So I place before you what's called the Lavalla200 community of Mount Druitt. Why Lavalla? Why 200? Well, Lavalla, fairly obviously, because it's the name of the small town in which the Marists began. And 200, with that little forward arrow, because we're not just marking the anniversary of 200 years of foundation, but we're saying it's a new beginning. There's forward movement. In fact, the Mount Druitt community and the ministry associated with it is one of 4 new Marist communities being established around the world in September this year. The others in East Harlem in New York, in Tabatinga in Brazil, and in Agrigento in Sicily, Italy. Also, some other communities to be strengthened in Asia. And in 2017, it's hoped that in locations like Kiribati, one of our neighbours, in Romania and Chile and several other Asian countries, there will be further development. So these communities will embrace a new way of sharing life in community. This is a change. Internationality, interculturality, lay and brothers, men and women, single and married, intergenerational. In many ways, we are beginning a new form of Christian life in the church, respectful, of course, of the different vocations. It will be mutually enriching, but all of us will be called to be co-responsible for the life of the community and to a shared mission that expresses our common charism in fresh ways. This is new. Naturally, the Mount Druitt community will be a place of deep prayer. It couldn't exist without that. And it will be animated by choice to follow the lead of Jesus in his ministry to those excluded by society or religion. Engagement with the ministry for vulnerable children and young people in Mount Druitt will absolutely shape the community and the people's personal lifestyles. So you can imagine that we're delighted that our approaches late last year and early this year to the Catholic Education Diocese of Parramatta to engage in this project with us were met with enthusiasm and a genuine spirit of exploration. Because I believe they, like us, are listening to God's Spirit and that they're prepared to go on this journey with us outside the walls of the church to meet young people in genuine need. This is new territory for us together. We want to respect the presence of God's Spirit in all people, all cultures, all religions. So that means adopting a posture of dialogue. It entails listening, empathising, understanding, collaborating, networking with all people of goodwill, praying together, sharing our faith stories. And why? Because we know that's how you make the Marian face of the church a reality. Now, so you don't get sick of me, I thought one of the best ways we might get our heads around Marist Learning Zone and the new community in Mount Druitt would be to meet a few of the people with whom Laurie and I have become friends during the past year. And so to help with a few question and answers, I'm going to invite two of the elders of the Barbane Aboriginal Corporation up here with me on stage. Would you please make welcome Margaret Farrell and Jenny Ebsworth. Jenny, if I start with you, can you just tell me what's one or two of the biggest problems that you see facing kids in the Mount Druitt area at the moment?
A lot of our children are caught up with ice. A lot of them are not engaging in school. Is that all?
Use that one. Nice and close.
Sorry. There's a lot of our kids aren't engaging in the school system, and so they're not being educated, and also they're involved with the drug scene.
What about for you, Margaret? As a grandmother, and I know that Bailey living with you, what are some of the issues that you find you're having to deal with him living in Mount Druitt at the moment?
I myself didn't have much basic school education when I was growing up, so it's a lot harder for me because he lives with me, and for him to do his work, I wouldn't know anything about it today. So since the brothers have come along to the centre, and Bailey's, I think it was you or just Brother Justin?
Both of you.
Well, both of you working with him. He's come a lot way in his, he's in year 8 now at high school, and he loves going to the homework centre, and I think it's made a very big difference to his schoolwork, and yeah.
Great, thank you. Jenny, can I just ask you a question? Before we were talking at the table and we're mentioning the story of the grandson of one of the ladies on the table who, he had had a bit of a problematic diagnosis from some of his teachers, and she doesn't believe that's true.
Yeah. We have a young boy that comes to our homework club, and his nan's here today, Auntie Nita, and the teacher was saying that he was ADHD, and the parents and the grandmother, they don't believe that. But since Justin's come along and worked alongside of him, there's been a huge improvement in his work, especially maths, I think it was. But this is a great bubbly kid, and I think the homework club has just been going from strength to strength because of the engagement. We have some people from St Madeleine's Parish also that come, and Riverview College, and these people, they donate their time. They're very busy people, but they turn up every Tuesday afternoon to engage with our kids, to help our kids be educated, and maybe later on to make better choices and better outcomes for themselves.
Thank you. Margaret, can I just ask you about, you saw in the video there we were talking about that we would almost try to hide the curriculum behind what we do at Marist Learning Zone. What are some of the things that you think we should make sure that we do that will help to engage not just Aboriginal kids but all kids who might be disaffected from school? What are some of the things that you really believe we really have to do in that place? You can write a role description for us now. One thing that I know that we talked about last Sunday was the idea of using creative things, whether it be art or music, just to be able to help kids to tap into some energy that's within them that mightn't get a chance to come out during a regular school day. But there are some other things even to do with Aboriginal culture that you think we need to become aware of, or we need to make sure are included in what we do. What would make a kid feel like they belong in this place?
The children are really into rap dancing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They like the songs that's out there today,
Mm-hmm.
and art also.
Mm-hmm.
The boys love doing art and that.
Mm-hmm. So getting those creative energies.
Energies, yeah.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Jenny, can I go back to you? What about the role of Aboriginal elders and other community leaders? Like, what do you think we need to make sure we do so that there's going to be a success for young people in this Marist Learning Zone in connection with elders?
First of all, I think with Aboriginal young people, we as Aboriginal people, we haven't been very well, treated in the past. I think there needs to be more respect shown toward Aboriginal people, and also our young people. A lot of our young people, they don't feel respected, and because of intergenerational trauma that's affected, stolen generation children. I myself was married to a stolen generation man, and the trauma that he carried, it affects family, and so a lot of families, they don't go forward. But I think respect is the main thing, and also just trying to engage and making a place that's a lot of a belonging place where young people can come and know that they're welcomed and respected, and all of those other things, they'll just come as you go along.
One question, either of you could answer this one. How do you think, or what's something that we should do to try and make the best possible outcome for Indigenous and non-Indigenous kids together in our place? I know we've spoken before sometimes about how sometimes cultural groups other than Indigenous peoples of Australia, they can be quite dominant, and sometimes, to put it blankly, sometimes people from Pacific cultures have a stronger experience of family, and so that they can be dominant in a group. But if we were to have a real mix of people, how do you think that could work, or what should we be making sure we do so that those Aboriginal kids really can flourish and enjoy being part of that environment?
Well, From my experience, coming out to Mount Druitt in 1980, we just moved there and there wasn't a real, there were just non-Indigenous and Aboriginal people that came through the scheme that they had where they invited, like there was a scheme for people to resettle. So a lot of people came from Burke and Brewarren and Walgett and those places and they came and settled. And in those days they had youth centres and our kids used to go to the youth centres and then the Pacific Islanders came and they were very dominant. So a lot of our kids had nowhere to go. And a lot of them were out on the streets and also they're still being targeted by the police. And so a lot of kids get in trouble just for being out and about when they shouldn't be. But I've seen one positive thing. I've seen Ned and this little boo down there. They are doing this wonderful thing called Rap for Change, and it's bringing community together where they're engaging with not only Koori kids but every other nationality. And I think whether we say we just want to be, we always feel comfortable in our own groups, but we have to realise that we're not the only people here and we have to share the world and resources and whatever else there is out in the community.
Thank you very much. And maybe Margaret, if I could just finish with you. As you know, we've tried to build over the last year a strong relationship between the Marists and all the people we've come into contact with. Is there something that you could say that you hope for into the future in terms of the relationship between Aboriginal people and Marists? Like, what do you want from us? What do you think we could best do as we journey onwards with you and with young people? What would you like from us?
You put me on the spot, don't you? That would be nice, yeah. I don't know. Just being there for our young ones is a big thing, you know, and getting all the youth, you know, to come along and to all the opportunities there for them to come along and better themselves. Yeah.
Okay, that presence and
that presence of youth being there. Yeah.
Okay, great. I just wonder if you'd thank the two ladies for their help. Because even in my talk, you've heard me talking about the Lavalla200 community at Mount Druitt, kind of in the third person. And that's because there have been some rather significant requests made to ensure that there is an intercultural and an international mix in the 4 communities across the world. So some news. And this is no surprise to the people we are with, in constant communication with, but to some of you it will be. Brother Justin has been, he's disappeared, there he is at the back. Brother Justin has been asked to go to Tabatinga in Brazil. It's deep in the heart of the Amazon and it's on the border with Colombia and Peru. Why would we ask him to go there? He said he liked warm weather a few times. If you know anything about this area, it's called the Triple Frontier area of the world. There is great human migration in this part of the world. We all know that there's incredible destruction of natural ecosystems in this part of the world, and there's much damage to Indigenous culture. There is huge potential danger for young people in a milieu of human and drug trafficking. I also have been asked to go somewhere. I've been asked to go to Agrigento in southern Sicily to begin a project with unaccompanied minors, perhaps a little bit similar to the work done by Marist Youth Care here in Sydney. In the last 2 years alone, for an example, more than 300,000 refugees and asylum seekers, mainly from African countries, have arrived and have been processed in Italy. Our experience just recently on our formation program showed us where some of those people end up, begging for the €1 out of your shopping trolley. So, what of Mount Druitt? It's not all over, it's just about to begin. Of course, Justin and I are sad about having to leave Mount Druitt and also to depart Laurie, because after being involved in this planning phase for a year and a half, it's not easy to walk away. However, we are absolutely delighted that joining Laurie will be a young married Indigenous Mexican couple, Argelia and Rodrigo Gris. They're trained teachers with much experience in pastoral work. And also, it's hoped but not confirmed that a young brother from the Philippines, also a trained teacher, will be joining this community. So Marist Learning Zone and the Lavalla200 community has a very bright future, and it's firmly placed within this network of new, evolving Marist presence across the world. Of course, there are still many details to work out, like visas and housing and accreditation and the process of enculturation into Australia. But I think all three of us are very confident that this community makeup will be a powerful and helpful reality among young people in Western Sydney and within the Catholic Diocese of Parramatta. A few words from Argelia and Rodrigo.
Hello Australia, my name is Rodrigo and she is Argelia, she is my wife, and we are from Oaxaca, Mexico, a beautiful city.
We are so happy and we feel so blessed about being appointed to Mount Druitt community. We are glad to be part of this project of international communities that Marist brothers are fostering, having this deep awareness of what this intercultural world means. And on our preparation program, we have worked together, brother and lay people, about what the word inter means and how difference enriches and helps us build a world of opportunities, a world of accepting and loving others. So we are excited to be part of this learning zone. We have heard about this learning zone and we are so happy to work there. We are happy to share our experience working with young people.
And this will be the first time that we visit Australia, and say hello to everybody. Thank you for everything you are doing for us.
Lucky it was filmed in the morning, because there might have been tequila involved if it was night time. I'd like to conclude with some sincere thanks. Firstly to Brother Jeff Crow, sitting at the front here. Jeff, as you know, you have been the architect with us of all this community and new ministry from the very beginning, but always allowing us to follow the call of the Spirit and suggest the next direction to you. And you've recently just helped us all out at the International Formation Program for 2 months to have courage to take these next steps. And we appreciate that you'll be involved in the next stage of support as well. To Greg Whitby, the Executive Director of Schools for Catholic Education, Diocese of Parramatta, and for the many people from his team, and there are many people here today, who've engaged with us, explored with us, and also worked behind the scenes to develop this new outreach. We have a memorandum of understanding that's in progress, and we have some buildings that have been ordered, so it's all go, and we thank you for that. To the directors and members of Babayan Aboriginal Corporation, mainly sitting over here on the right, you have been the principal people who welcomed us to Mount Druitt, and you trusted us within your community. I think you've helped to bring reality to our plans. To the team from Mount Druitt Learning Ground under Debbie's leadership today, who've been so helpful to us in modelling what we might become. 12 years down the track, we might be saying, look at us, like Mount Druitt Learning Ground can say. You provided us with training in your centre and lots of anecdotal and sometimes brutally honest advice. We appreciate that. To Kate Sides, the CEO of Marist Youth Care, and to many team members of that wonderful organisation who provided us with space, ideas, training, pathways even into what has evolved so far, and for your assurance of a continued relationship. We are really grateful for that. To Michael Flanagan, I'm not sure if you remember, but some time ago you did start a new place called Burn Education Centre. And to Mark Paul in his absence today for leading the next chapter of the John Burns School. There are foundation members and early staff members of that place here today. We're delighted that you're first of all interested in what we're doing and perhaps even enthused by what's coming next. We even hope that some people from that place might jockey for a job at MLZ down the track. Who knows? To all of our Marist friends from all walks of life, each person here. You might be a teacher, you might be a member of the Marist Association, you might be one of Denise's huge band of friends, one of the ex-Marist North Sydney mums. For all of you, we're really grateful for how you have been able to support us. We hope we've left you wondering about what's going to grow next in Marist in Australia. To those many people associated with the Catholic parish of North Sydney and Lavender Bay, you know what the Jesuits are like, so it's no accident that we've formed a strong relationship with them in Mount Druitt. And she told me not to say thanks to her, but I'm going to. Especially to Denise, and also to Jill and to Anne. Today is their doing. I'm sure you agree it's a great way to launch Marist Learning Zone and the new Lavalla200 community at Mount Druitt. Denise has already personally engaged in very significant ways with the Aboriginal community in Mount Druitt. And I'm not just talking financial support, but her personal relationship. So as Marist, we're looking forward to a long association together as this educational outreach builds. Thanks for everything, Denise. And so to all of you, for I guess your belief in and your trust of the Marists to walk into new territory in service of people in need. Thank you for that. We encourage you to stay connected, even to consider becoming involved in some way in the Mount Druitt community and the Marist outreach there if your time allows. But most of all, please pray for us three, Anne, Rodrigo and Argelia, and we will do the same for you. Thanks.